I'm going to break down my marriage-based green card interview experience with 2 different USCIS field offices. I promised you guys that I was going to come on here and tell you about those interviews. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know I've been posting on my stories about my travels this week, having several marriage-based green card interviews. So this is me while I'm waiting for my flight, giving you a recap of what happened in both interviews and hopefully that can help you prepare for your own marriage-based green card interview coming up shortly. All right, so I had 2 interviews this week, one in the New York City field office and then one in Baltimore. Very different experiences with each field office. In the New York City field office, that was the longest interview experience I ever had. I usually have my interviews locally in Charlotte or South Carolina, like neighboring cities. But coming out here to New York, first of all, we know there's a lot of people in New York, so that means there's a lot of people doing immigration as well. So my clients and I arrived quite early, an hour early. I don't recommend arriving an hour early because you won't be allowed to get into the building until 15 minutes before your interview. But because it's New York, I was like, I'm not trying to be caught in whatever drama is going on outside. You know, I'm just freaking out about New York. I don't know. So we got there early and we just had to wait. So arriving early, we waited for 2 hours. And after 2 hours of waiting, well, waited for 1 hour. And they got called back, but they weren't quite ready for our CS and then sent us back out to go have lunch or do whatever. And then they called us back in after an hour. I'm like, girl, we don't want to have lunch. We just want to get this interview over with and be gone. But, you know, we had to do what they said. So be ready for any type of random change to your appointment schedule or a random change to your officer. Anything that happened on the day of the interview. Just be flexible and open and relaxed. Clear your entire schedule for the day. Don't expect to have your interview in the morning and go to work, because it's not gonna, that may not work out for you. So just clear your schedule. Get up early, get prepared. Hopefully your interview is not as early as the one I had today, but I'm talking about the New York one right now, but I'll tell you more about the Baltimore one. But anyway, hopefully your interview is not as early. It's not super early, so you can sleep in a little bit and just be relaxed and come into your interview relaxed. Because if you come in a stressed state, or if your mind says you're all stressed out, you will most likely have a difficult time answering the questions. And if you can't answer the questions, if your questions don't match, especially if it's a Stokes interview like the ones I attended this week, if your answers don't match, you would most likely be denied or delayed, because when it doesn't match, then they have to do further investigation into your case. So make sure you get some rest and come in all relaxed. So anyway, back to the New York interview session. So anyway, Stokes interview, the beneficiary usually goes in first, because I'm not sure why actually. I just know that the beneficiary goes in first and then the questioning begins. The questions, there's nothing off the table for these for Stokes interview questions. I have a 100 question bank that I usually provide to my clients for interview prep. So if you're interested in getting that, just let me know. But yeah, the questions you would expect in a Stokes interview, in this particular interview, it was very detailed and very, if your marriage is not bona fide, there's no way you're gonna know these things. Like literally, they were asking if you have carpet versus rug. Carpet versus rug. That was like mind-blowing to me, because as a Nigerian, sometimes we call carpet rugs. So when the officer kept asking that question about the carpet versus the rug and the client was getting confused, that's where I stepped in to make that distinction. Because a carpet is stuck to the ground, and a rug, at least in her interpretation, is one that you can move around, right? Like a area rug type situation. So some confusion with answering that particular question, but I was able to clear it up, and that saved some time, because we kept going over that particular one. There are just different terminologies that different people use to describe different things. So if you don't understand the questioning, make sure you ask for the officer to repeat it. And if you don't remember something, just say you don't know instead of trying to make up an answer. Because when you make up answers and lie during an interview, you actually make it worse for yourself. You put yourself in a worse situation, not only because of the misrepresentation, but for example, if you say that you live with your spouse, right? There are going to be questions about the house that you claim to live in. So if you don't know what's the furniture in the living room, this was asked in this interview. What's the arrangement? Like what's the arrangement pretty much? If you don't really live in that house, you may not know that information. Thankfully, my clients, we prepared very well, and they know everything about each other, and their marriage is bona fide, so they were able to answer these questions. So, but imagine not preparing. You don't, I mean, like, I walk into my house right now, I can't really be telling you like everything that's there. I mean, I can kind of remember. I know we have an area rug. I know the color. I know my couch. I know my TV. I can describe some things in the living room, but maybe not every single thing. So take the time to look around your living room, know what's there, know what's in your bedroom, know about if you have windows, blinds, curtains, if your wall is finished or unfinished, know things like that. If you have a basement, you know what's in your basement, know stuff like that about your spouse. So that's why it's basically a long interview, because they just ask a lot of details about the home. That's really where they're focused on, because if it's Stokes, they already know you're married, but now it's like it's a deeper investigation into how married are you, like how real is this union right here? Are you guys just playing games or what? How real is this union? That's really what it comes down to. Another tip to help you prepare for your interview is to think about particular days in the past when you and your spouse spent time together doing anything in particular. Or even if it's not anything very special, just hanging out at home watching Netflix. Just especially maybe the weekend before your interview, or some holidays before your interview, like birthdays or Christmas, whatever holiday was right before your interview. Make sure you know that. Know what you did on that day, because if you live together and you're sharing your life together, even if your spouse is not present for some of the activities, maybe because of work, at least you text each other and you would know what's going on. So it's a better approach, from my understanding and as an attorney, for you to go out there and tell the truth. Because if you claim to be somewhere, they're going to ask you something about that place that you claimed you were. So there's no need to lie. I mean, immigration is, a lot of people want their green card, I understand. It's something, it's a long journey. It's expensive, stressful, mentally, just it's draining. So some people think that they have to lie in order to get that green card and make sure that they're, answering everything 100%. First of all, for your first interview, the chance of your bona fide marriage doesn't have to be 100% accurate. You don't have to have 100% of your answers correct, okay? Because life is not perfect. I keep saying this. My clients are in prep and everywhere. Life's not perfect. So they don't expect your answers to be 100% correct. Or if you can show that your marriage is bona fide 50% of the time, that's usually enough to get an approval. I mean, typically if you're newlywed, for example, you may not really know everything about your spouse because you're just learning about this person. Like, who's this strange man in the house or woman, So it's okay. It's okay not to know every single thing, but what is not okay is for you to go there and lie that you know something you really don't know. So if you want to really know things about your spouse, try to know these things and really learn it. Like, ask your spouse, how do you spell your middle name? That was asked during one of my interviews this week. How do you spell your spouse's middle name? How do you spell your spouse's maiden name? I was like, what? So, well, yeah, you gotta know, because it's your wife, right, or your husband. So you know that your spouse was married before. You know a little bit about that situation, and just know about it. You don't have to know too many details because obviously it's your spouse's ex and they understand that too. So it's just better to be human. Come as yourself. Just be human and usually get the results that you need when you do that. Okay? Alright, I'm going to recap another